I'll call the meeting to order. Are we all here? Does anybody need to be excused? I think I've got 10 people. Okay. The minutes for October 22nd were circulated. How do you wish to handle them? Yubi? Yubi moves to accept as circulated. Any discussion? All in favor? Those are passed. Are there any post-agenda items for MPC? Seeing none, could we have an adoption of the agenda, please? Anne-Marie moves. All in favor? So we'll adopt the agenda.
Clara,
Yes.
could I interrupt for a second? I
Sure
was
can.
waving about the minutes.
Okay.
I just had a question. In the attendance, under others in attendance, it's got D. Stroder, and it's got the same applicant. It's listed there twice. And I believe that's it is like this, the same name and the same development permit number, and it's listed there twice.
Yep.
And I don't think that's correct.
Two. There was only one person there.
Vote 2 people.
Yeah.
There were 2 people in attendance, and their first names both start with D. So I
Desiree.
saw that as well, and we clarified that. Yeah, thanks.
Dale and Desiree. Yeah.
Okay, so there's no.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, thanks, Tracy. Good eye. I couldn't remember 2 either, but there's nobody in the gallery today, is there? I don't see any in the pictures, so. Okay, move on to the development report. There are 5 or 6 items there. Are there any questions? Seeing none for the permitted use items, we'll take that as information and move on to subdivisions, and we'll deal with the first one.
Thank you. Good morning. So the first one is subdivision file number 2020-0-054. This is an application to create one new parcel, approximately 1.882 hectares or 4.65 acres in size, containing an existing farmstead from a previously unsubdivided quarter for residential use. The lands are located in Division 4, approximately 5 kilometers south of the hamlet of Rainier and 5 kilometers northeast of Scandia. The subject lands are in the agricultural land use district, and the proposed subdivision would be the first parcel out of this quarter section. There is a house and sheds located on the proposed lot. The parcel is serviced by regional water, a septic tank, and septic field. The house is located within the setbacks outlined in the land use bylaw. There are, however, 2 sheds that are located within the required setbacks, and the applicant has indicated that they will move those to achieve the proper setbacks. The septic system is contained within the proposed lot lines and meets the required setbacks of the Alberta safety codes. Access to the proposed parcel is from Range Road 16-1, and the proposed subdivision does not restrict access, legal or physical, to the remnant parcel. Municipal reserve for this subdivision is not applicable, as this is the first parcel out of the border section. So it is recommended by staff that the residential subdivision of the northeast of 21616 to create one new parcel containing an existing residence and improvements be approved because it is consistent with the South Saskatchewan Regional Plan and complies with the Municipal Development Plan and the Land Use Bylaw. And we did the referrals. The Eastern Irrigation District had no objections. They do have a few conditions that they would like to have satisfied prior to them consenting to this subdivision. And there were no other comments or concerns.
Thank you, Maria. Are there any questions, clarifications necessary? Everything's pretty straightforward. There are no questions. I'd ask for a motion, please. Tracy moves to accept as presented. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? And that is passed. Going on to the second one, please.
Okay, so this subdivision is file number 2020-0-055. The purpose of this subdivision is to reconfigure two existing titles by subdividing 0.844 hectare or 2.09 acre portion from the southeast of 31, 2014 to be consolidated with Block B, Plan 8010259 to create a new parcel, which would be approximately 3.887 hectares or 9.61 acres. No additional parcels will be created. This is essentially a boundary line adjustment. The proposed boundary line adjustment is in Division 8, and it is directly adjacent to the village of Dutchess. The existing subdivision, Block B, Plan 8010259, is zoned single lot agriculture, and the remainder of the quarter is zoned fringe. The subject land to be subdivided is located on a pivot corner and contains a dugout that services the existing subdivision. There's a pump house and animal waters located on these lands. There are 2 sheds and a building that encroach into the neighboring lands. So the applicant has indicated that they will obtain an agreement from the neighboring landowner, if required, to deal with that encroachment. And the reason for the boundary line adjustment is to include the dugout and the corrals and animal waters into the subdivision, into the existing residential subdivision. Municipal reserve is required for, or is applicable for this subdivision, so there are a few options. Option 1 would be that municipal reserve be taken as cash in lieu on the 0.844 hectares or 2.09 acres that is being subdivided and then consolidated with the proposed parcel. And then there is a deferred reserve caveat that is already on the quarter section. So option 1 would keep the deferred caveat existing on the southeast of 31. Oh, sorry, pardon me, I got ahead of myself. So municipal reserve be taken on the 0.209 acres that are being subdivided and consolidated, as well as taking the deferred reserve caveat and having the applicant take care of that at this time. So the total owing would be $11,886 for option 1. Option 2 would be municipal reserve be taken as cash in lieu on the portion of land that's being subdivided, the 2.09 acres. So the total municipal reserve for that would be $1,463. The deferred reserve caveat would then remain on the southeast of 31. And option 3 would be that the 10% reserve requirement be deferred totally onto the southeast of 31 and no cash payment be made for that. So staff recommends that the following subdivision be approved, that the reserve that money be provided in place of land on the 0.29 acre proposed parcel for a total of $1,463, and the deferred reserve caveat registered on title for 5.005 hectares or 12.37 acres remain on the title for the southeast of 31 to be taken care of at a point of further development. And the conditions to be considered would be that all outstanding property taxes be paid, that an easement agreement be established between the applicant and the adjacent landowner for the encroachment of the buildings and sheds on the western property line of the county residential parcel, and that the subdivided parcel be consolidated with Plan 801025 Block B in a manner that the resulting certificate of title could not be subdivided without the approval of the subdivision authority. We did refer this application to the Village of Dutchess, the EID, all the required referral agencies. The Village of Dutchess reviewed the application and they had no concerns with the subdivision. Eastern Irrigation District, again, has their standard conditions to be dealt with at the time of finalization. And Alberta Transportation was also in favor of this subdivision. Fortis, Alberta requires easements to be put in place prior to finalization as well. And that's it from me if there's any questions.
Thank you, Maria. Lionel?
So which option was the applicant in favor of as far as the reserves go? So that's a little bit convoluted in my mind, and just what their thoughts were.
Sure, yeah. Municipal reserve is something that we've been talking about a lot in our department, and trying to figure out a way to be consistent with this, because that hasn't always been done in the past, and it is kind of a tricky one. So that's something we are definitely looking at when we update the land use bylaw and talking with ISL about it with our SWOT analysis. So to your question, Lionel, the applicant obviously would like to pay the least amount possible. But I think as far as our recommendation goes, I think that it would be fair to ask for municipal reserve to be paid on the portion being subdivided. And then the deferred reserve payment or the deferred reserve caveat for existing subdivisions that have happened in the past, those can be dealt with at a later date. And that could, if one day the applicant decides to subdivide the southeast quarter in its entirety, say they want to do 20 rural residential lots, then they have the option potentially to give land in lieu of, or they could give land for municipal reserve rather than a payment, or they can make that payment at that time, if that answers your question.
Okay, see Lionel nodding. Brian?
Just clarification on one thing you mentioned, and I think you said it's adjacent to the Village of Dutchess. I don't think that's accurate, or am I wrong? Did they expropriate some of our land?
Sorry, it's within the Village of Dutchess IDP area.
Right, right.
Yeah, so sorry, I misspoke that way.
Okay, no, I thought maybe I missed something, but anyways, so I agree with your recommendations as far as the reserve, and you're going forward with the way this has been presented. So I would like to move this development or this subdivision.
Thank you, Brian. Any further questions? Everyone understands that it's the option 2 for the reserve. I will then call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Everybody was in favor. That is passed. We had no post-agenda items. There's nothing in camera that I know of. Question period. Maria, as far as the reserve things, I'm always struggling with it because I can't remember from one day to the next what we've done in the past. Are we going to get a bit of a outline on what has been the procedure over time, or what you think should be the procedure going forward?
Yes, I think that would be a great way to go. Currently, there is a municipal reserve policy that outlines the land values that we use to determine the amount of municipal reserve. But I think that could be expanded on to say if it's a boundary line, as an example, say in this case, if it's a boundary line adjustment, then the direction would be to do A, B, C, or if it's a multi-lot subdivision, then direction would be to go this route. Because right now it's kind of looked at a case-by-case basis, and I think that there definitely is an opportunity here to try to be more consistent. And there is policies in other counties that are more specific, and we have been researching that and looking into that a little bit, and we would like to get something together for that purpose.
That would be great. Anything else? Tracy?
My question, I asked this before, quite a few months ago or whatever, it came back that Canada Post was contacted regarding these, and they started replying if they had no objection or whatever. But how did that come about, or why is it that Canada Post is notified of these?
So we have just continued based on what was done in the past. We did ask about that, and if I remember correctly, the reason that we've now included Canada Post is because they want to be aware of new mail services that might be happening, new residential lots. And because they do always respond very diligently, we include it in our responses. So not everybody responds, but Canada Post is one that does.
Okay, Trace? Okay, anything else? Yeah. Oh, yes. Alan?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, when a municipal reserve is getting paid, in what sort of account is that deposit?
That is a specific municipal reserve fund that is used, or that is required to be used for schools, playgrounds, things that are put out in the MGA that money can be used for.
Correct, but how large is that fund at the moment? Is it held by the county itself, or is it a separate account?
It's actually, there is a separate bank account that is totally under the control of the county. And there is entries that are made each month to accrue the interest that is earned on those funds.
And every once in a while, I think we do draw. I think I can't remember where, but it seems like we have over the years. Anything further? If not, thank you, everyone, and I will adjourn the meeting.